Celebrating Mardi Gras weekend as it is coming up. Here's a live look right now at 11:42 on this Thursday, the 24th of February. This is Bourbon Street in New Orleans, and there's going to be a lot of fun stuff happening, of course, there this weekend. And then in Fresno, we've got the Mardi Gras Parade. That's happening on Sunday, 1 p.m. at the pub, Lincoln Pub, in the Tower District. All right, it is time now to talk about something that's very, very critical and important for everybody, and that's solar. And as we are cruising into this brand new year, there are some different kind of policies that we're going to discuss over the next few minutes. And joining us now is Chris. He is the owner and founder of Solar Negotiators.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Austin.
Welcome, your first time.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Enjoying this beautiful weather.
I know, can't complain.
Finally got some rain.
We need it.
Yep, we sure did.
So tell me, let's start from the very beginning.
Sure.
2009,
Yeah.
that's when you had the idea? Or 2008? Or?
Yeah, solar was not as popular then, and I started the small company just really as kind of a solar sales company, and I sold installation projects for contractors. And so kind of developed a model where multiple contractors would kind of compete for the business, and we'd go provide excellent service to our customers. A few years later, we started a maintenance business, panel cleaning, just to support solar systems. Yeah. We thought that might be a good way to supplement our business model. Over the years, we got our contractor's license in 2016, and between then and now, now we're one of the larger solar installing companies in the area, and we're a little bit unique. We provide long-term services after the install, which include annual inspections, cleanings, and an active monitoring program that we've written. So
a lot of companies don't
a lot of companies don't. And so we kind of like to say that we're like someone's lifetime energy partner. Mm-hmm. We don't go away after we install it. We engage with our customers, and that kind of service is an attractive and appealing offering for folks, especially in this area.
Yeah, and you're locally owned, locally operated,
Yep.
which is critical.
Yes.
It is 2022 now.
Yeah.
Coming into, the third month already. That's insane.
It's crazy. It really
How
is.
did that happen? But there are some policies that were rewritten, or what's going on there?
So
it's across the state.
It's across the state.
Okay.
So solar works in California because the utility companies have to receive your solar power when you produce extra. They have to receive it, account for it, and give you full credit. So the same price they would charge you for a unit of power, they have to credit you. That's been the foundation. So without a battery, you have to use that net metering system of pushing power and credit to get your full offset and your payback. What they've done is they're proposing changes to that, where they want to raise the minimum bill from about $10 to $15 a month to somewhere like $70 a month just for having a solar system. And then they want to change how much they credit you when you send power to the grid. They want to discount it by like 80%. This was a proposed change that was delayed because it was so unpopular. And it's kind of expected that if they made these changes, it would really kill the solar industry in California like overnight. So it really was a big deal, and they're still kind of working some things out, but it's kind of the current affairs of the solar industry right now.
Is it always changing?
You know, the policies in California have changed a few times.
Okay.
The industry is certainly always changing. Technology is getting better, different approaches on how to package a solar product for customers. But this would represent the first major, call it, tax on solar systems across the country. And in a state like California, that's kind of counterintuitive. There's kind of some conflict between the legislative lawmaking goals and the regulatory utility side policies, and they're kind of bumping heads right now. So.
You know, our owner, Mike Briggs, he's running for city council, so you got to talk to him about that.
Absolutely,
I mean, wow. You would think that the state would be so pro-solar.
And they have been. And I try to be a balanced, unbiased, objective person. Even obviously, I'm in the solar industry, but the the current program has been very favorable, and it really has helped. That's why we have 1.3 million homes in California that have solar already. And so some level of change is probably appropriate because it's not a sustainable thing to do like this forever. The utilities do have to take that power and they have to distribute it. Not very many people have sympathy for the utility companies, but they do have to manage the power.
Right.
And so that is a reality.
Yeah.
And that brings us to battery storage and why batteries is going to be a major part of the future.
So, what is this battery?
Yeah, so solar systems now, 99.9% of them are what are called grid-tied systems. Okay. So if the grid goes down, the solar system actually shuts off because there's nowhere for the power to go. Right. And so with a battery, you can create a microgrid. What that allows you to do is obviously power some things when the grid goes down. And depending on how many batteries you have and how much capacity your inverter is, it will depend on what you can run. A single battery, and most people think of like a Tesla Powerball, only runs a few items. There's just not enough power to run your whole house, right? But what the battery allows you to do is store your own power and not send it to the grid. So if they do change the policies, batteries become a major solution because you're no longer pushing that power to the grid and getting this low credit for it. You're storing it and using it later. And so batteries are a major part of grid resiliency because the more batteries are installed on the customer's side of the utility meter, the less the grid has pressure to deliver power in high peak times. And so batteries are still kind of in their infancy, but most people are very curious about them because the concept of having power produced on your roof from the sun and storing it in a battery and using it at your leisure and not being dependent on the grid. That's a very appealing kind of concept. Sure. I live in the foothills and I have a well and I'm the solar guy, right? So I did a big fancy battery system and I can actually run my whole house I can turn the grid off. And I could run for 10 years without the grid. I can run my air conditioner. That is a pretty expensive way to go about it right this moment, but more and more batteries are being installed all the time.
And so, just thinking about timing, today compared to next year, there's going to be way more.
Absolutely.
This is just getting going.
It's like solar adoption was kind of an exponential hockey stick curve. Yeah. Batteries is going to be the same.
Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is new in solar that you wanted to talk a little bit about today? This is fascinating information because I don't know much about solar.
Sure, and really, solar is an opportunity to offset an expense. If you're just looking at why people go solar in California, it's my power bill's $400 a month. And I'd like to save some money. And we can install a system enough to get that $400 power bill down to $15. That's pretty stellar. And that system will produce power for 25 years or longer, actually. So it comes down to return on investment and how it's packaged. You have a federal tax credit that's 26%. So if you spend $30,000 on a solar system, you're going to get about $7,300 back from the federal, as long as you pay taxes. And I'm not a CPA, I'm supposed to say that, right? So, but the tax credit is there.
Look into it.
And it's very valuable.
Yeah.
And so if let's say someone pays cash for their solar system, they'll recover about 40% of their cash in the first 12 months. First year savings plus tax credit, and then they typically will recover all of their cash within the first 5 or so years. So it's a very good investment because after that 5th year, you've recovered your money and you're saving maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a year. That's how solar kind of looks. Some of the new things are how they package financing options. Okay. Some people don't have $30,000 to go buy a solar system, but they'd love to go solar. So we provide them a financing option with a no money down, maybe a 20-year term where their monthly payment is $130 a month. And they're saving $380 because their power bill was $400. Now it's 20 years, it's a long time, but that's immediate savings. They own the system. It increases the value of the house. And it's a great alternative to continuing to paying the utility bill, which goes up every year.
And also, isn't solar, hands down, better for the environment?
I mean, electricity is the cleanest form of power, and renewable electricity is the best, way to go about it. So yes, it is the best for the environment. It's better than burning natural gas or nuclear. There are challenges that come with solar because obviously the sun is not up at nighttime, right? And so I believe, a good approach is Germany has a very good approach. They have a good combination of solar and wind and even some fossil fuels that a lot of people don't like, but it's part of this kind of portfolio of power, and it works really well at making sure they have what they need when they need it. So solar is definitely the future. Solar stored in a battery is really the future. But solar is always going to be a part of the puzzle, not the whole thing.
Tell me a little bit about, a lot of people get worried about doing something like this, or maybe some solar companies, we've heard bad things about them.
Yeah.
How do you counter that?
Sure. So I tell people, look, if you always do your research. There's a lot of money to be made in the solar industry because it's a high value product. And so a lot of companies have jumped in, but a lot of them are cutting corners. And so they're in, they're out, and the customer gets left holding the bag. So definitely do your research. Talk to friends and family who may have had success with their solar companies. We always recommend people get multiple quotes. If someone's going to live in their house for only 2 or 3 more years, we say, it's probably not a good decision.
So you're honest.
Yeah. You don't need to buy solar today, but when you move, we'd love to be the company that helps you then.
Right.
And then it goes back to, if someone's paying $400 a month, 12 months a year, that's almost $5,000. 10 years from now, they will have given PG&E about $50,000. And there's nothing to show for it except the light switch still works and turns on when you turn it on. Solar is an alternative. It allows you to take the same money you're going to give PG&E or Edison or your utility company and actually roll it into an asset on the house. And because of those policies we discussed that allow you to get the credit for that power, then the investment is very solid. And so until they change these policies, solar is a phenomenal investment, and it's a better use of the same money that you're paying the utility company.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as far as I love what you were saying earlier about that you guys, it's like when you sign on a client, they become part of the family.
Yeah, we're like we become your lifetime energy partner.
How important is that?
It's so important because, if you buy a car and you're not happy, you don't go back to the salesperson who sold it to you.
No.
You just go trade in the car, right? With solar, you only get one shot and to do it right. And if you make the wrong choice, you're stuck with your choice. And, what we do, we'd like to say we're not just a solar contractor, because we are a solar contractor, but customers need long-term support. And the solar system, while it's made to be outdoors and it's going to work for decades, it needs monitoring and it needs interpretation of the data. Most of our clients say, hey, I just don't understand why I have a power bill when I have solar. Oh, your usage went up, or oh, you got an electric vehicle, or hey, we can meet your needs, or let's look at energy efficiency upgrades instead of extra solar. Those are the kinds of support items that customers appreciate beyond just, hey, you sold me a solar system and bailed. Because energy and your energy profile at your home is always subject to change, and having an expert partner, if you will, that understands all the elements of it and gives you good feedback to help you either make good investments or avoid costly mistakes, that's what we provide for our clients.
And you're able as well to find the best situation as far as you reach out to different, how does that work, I guess?
Yeah, so for many years, we were like a broker.
Right. Okay.
Right? So we would kind of find the best package deal. We saved our clients a lot of money. Over the years, we realized it would be better if we could self-perform. So several years ago, we brought on a solar contractor who'd been in business for 25 years. We brought him onto the team and became a contractor. And we started installing ourselves. And so now we install about 80% of the projects we secure in-house with our teams. Some specialty projects, sometimes we'll bring in a subcontractor to assist. And we also have, panel maintenance technicians, panel cleaning, inspections, visual, expansion, troubleshooting, electricians. So we have all that on staff. And so our name of Solar Negotiators kind of has that history of solar broker.
Yeah.
And when we shifted that model several years ago, we just decided we wanted to keep our name because it had a good name.
It's
and
a great name.
Good brand equity. And
It's memorable.
people have known who we are.
Right.
So one of our bigger challenges these days is helping those who heard many of our advertisements over the years to understand that we've evolved.
Right, right. Well, we're doing that today,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
So, okay, we've got about a minute left. Anything else you wanted to talk about? Anything I missed? Anything that you guys are going to be working on throughout this year?
Yeah, no, I would just say that, for listeners who may have considered or hesitated on considering solar, right now is a very good time to do it because those policies likely will change and they will be less favorable. And those who do it now are to be grandfathered in under the current policy. So it's a good time to make the jump into solar and lock yourself into those savings. And obviously the cost of power continues to rise as well. And make sure you do lots of research. Lots and lots of multiple quotes, ask lots of questions, look at the reviews for the companies you're considering. We'd love to offer a quote to anyone who's interested, but we also state that there's a lot of good companies out here in this area that can help you as well.
Chris, great conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
You'll
my
have
pleasure.
to come back on.
I will.
These policies, that was fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard, you kind of, that kind of gets buried.
It's
in
the
headlines, right?
less glamorous side of the solar industry.
Right,
That's for
exactly.
sure.
So we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Contact Solar Negotiators today, locally owned, locally operated here in the Central Valley. I'm Austin Reed. This is Central Valley Talk.